Economists, environmentalists, and marketeers like me are all hotly debating the best way to get the public to adopt sustainable behaviours, the best way of getting us all to live more sustainably. Now, dwindling resources and a rising population mean we need disruptive change, and fast. And I believe it's brands that will most quickly get us there. Brands surround us, and we trust them. We trust them to guide everyday decisions, from the drudgery of doing laundry to the joy of choosing a new car. David Ogilvy said that a brand is the intangible sum of a product's attributes. Its name, packaging, and price, its history, its reputation, and the way it's advertised. So you can think of a brand as a mark, as a sign, even a sound that promises something. Not always a product, sometimes an experience. Now, humanity is brilliant at creating brands. Humanity, you could say, has a real talent for generating brands. The cross, Star of David, Union Jack, Stars and Stripes, even the little tiny dragon totems that were first made in China in 5000 BC. These are all early brands. Today, 2 billion people will use a Unilever branded product, and HTC sells 25 million smartphones every year. A quarter of the world's population, you may be intrigued to find out, uses Kleenex. It's about 5:30 p.m. today, and each of you has probably worn, washed with, eaten, surfed on, or in some way used around 80 brands already today, and probably interacted with more like 1,000. So brands are these incredibly intimate partners in our lives, and brands have already radically altered the way we live. From Ford and his motor car completely redesigning our cities, for better or for worse, to Apple getting us all to move our music online. So as behaviour change messengers, I can't think of a much better choice than brands. Now, you will probably be thinking the problem with brands is that they drive consumption. You know, promoting junk food, excess packaging, feeding that nagging, gnawing desire to have more stuff. And that's true. Brands do all of those things. Brands are guilty of all of those sins. And even being a marketeer and knowing how all this stuff works, I find myself buying all sorts of things for which I have no need whatsoever. You know, you have to be pretty superhuman to hold out against brands. And small wonder, because US corporations last year alone spent $171.7 billion on advertising. But can you imagine if brands use their influence and their spend to drive us to live more sustainable lives? How would they do that? Well, over a decade of research at Futerra, we found that there are 3 ways. There are 3 P's of behavioural marketing for sustainability. The first P is persuasion. Brands are expert at persuading us to do things, to part with cash, to visit countries, even that a different deodorant will get the girl, the Lynx effect. They do it by providing status symbols, by generating an emotional connection, by giving social proof, and that's the idea that everyone else is doing it. My favourite sustainability persuasion tactic is the Levi's care tag. I don't know if you've seen it, but Levi's worked out that up to 60% of the ecological impact of a pair of jeans is in the hands of the consumer, is in the washing and drying of those jeans once the owner has bought them. So they realised that to cut their footprint in any meaningful way, they would have to persuade their customers to change their behaviour. So they created a little care tag. It advises customers to wash in cold water, to line dry. This is one of the early kind of prototypes. It's got tumble dry on it, but to wash in cold water, to line dry, and once you're done with the jeans, to give them to charity rather than throwing them away. It's not a poster, it's not an advertising campaign, it's just a little tag. And it's not worthy, it's not full of jargon, it's just pretty helpful. It gives sustainability advice at the point of behaviour where the user looks for general care instructions. And it's on every single pair of 501s. In fact, it's across the entire Levi's clothing range since 2009. So it makes the behaviour, the sustainable behaviours normal. It's pretty persuasive. Now, the next P stands for product. This is different. This is where well-loved brands reformulate their products to build in behaviour change. Now, if you stroll along the supermarket detergent aisle, and I don't know how you get your kicks, but that's one of the ways I relax. If you stroll along the supermarket detergent aisle, you'll see several of these products which are made to use less energy and less water. The trick when reformulating the product is not to change the brand proposition or promise. You see, most customers really do buy for price, quality, and convenience. And so you can't change that. Tide promises outstanding cleaning in cold water conditions. So you don't need to think about it. You don't need to think turn to 30. You buy the product with a behaviour change built in. Now, searching out products that build in behaviour change means some rather surprising brands turn up. I give you Batiste dry shampoo. Now, this is made to mean that you can wash your hair less often. It means that you spend less time in the shower, less water, less energy heating the water, less energy blow drying your hair. It's a built-in behaviour change product. Now, it's not marketed like that, or very few of these dry shampoo products are marketed like this. It's marketed on convenience, time saving, and for the fashion set, it's marketed on crazy big hair, volumizing effects. Now, the final and really by far the most controversial P is placement. Advertisers have been placing product in entertainment, mainly films and TV, since the industry has been around. Behavioural placement is a new trend. It's more recent. And the term was first coined by NBC back in 2007 to describe how their Green Week weaves sustainable storylines into mainstream content. You could find the detectives on Law & Order investigating a Cash for Clunkers rip-off scheme. You could find Tina Fey lobbing her water bottle, Tina Fey on 30 Rock, lobbing her water bottle into the recycling can, all sorts. The goal is to influence audiences, but in a way they don't really notice. Behavioural placement relies on peripheral rather than central processing. And in some ways, it's the easiest form of behavioural marketing for brands to do. All it means, all it requires, is that a brand promotes its mainstream product centrally while showcasing sustainable behaviours peripherally. So this is Diet Coke with Duffy on her bike back in 2009. Big brands are already running behaviour change campaigns on really huge issues. You've got L'Oreal running the Hairdressers Against AIDS campaign. You've got Patagonia with an anti-consumption message saying, don't buy this jacket. You've got Max Burger, carbon labelling on all of its menus across Sweden. And you've got the London Olympics persuading visitors to adopt a range of sustainable behaviours, from recycling to cycling. And some of this will be for audiences who've never met this type of message before. But it's not enough. We've got some pretty pressing problems. We've got 7 billion people on this planet, and every single one of them deserves clean water, jobs, health, education. There is a lot to do. So which brands would you pick to drive this sustainable change? Well, at Futerra, we found 100 brands. 100 brands with the biggest influence, the furthest reach, some sustainability know-how, and we put them into an index, the Planet Brands Index. We've got Google, we've got Walmart, we've got China Mobile, we've got BMW, we've got all sorts in there. And we call them Planet Brands because these are the billion people brands who could change the world. Now, they're not doing it yet. And so I bet every single one of you has used one of these brands today. In fact, I'm willing to bet you've probably used quite a few, whether as a consumer, whether as an employee, as an employer, as a student, or even as a citizen. So I think we all need to call on these brands to become Planet Brands, to find disruptive change and to do what they do best, which is getting us to want to change our behaviour and so change the world. And tomorrow, I'll be starting my day with dry shampoo. Thank you.